let's do it. Speaking to Arthur in New York. Arthur, what's on your mind today?
Hello, Christy and Jimmy. Christy, wonderful to talk to you finally. I've been a big fan of yours since Secular Sexuality. Hope to see that coming back.
Yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Hopefully that's okay for me to mention. I didn't know who that was at. And Jimmy, congratulations on your new position at the ACA.
Oh, thanks. It's great to be part of the team.
Yeah, cool. Right on.
Arthur, you're talking to Arthur, you're talking to a fellow New Yorker. So I'm not going to go easy on you.
Really? Where from? Upstate?
Well, let's save that conversation for another time.
Cool. We'll save it for a drink, okay?
Sure. So what's up?
Anyway, Christy said yeah. My question is this, and I don't know if you saw on the call screen. But my question is, how can, in a world with religious extremists, can theists and agnostics and atheists and religious extremists ever come to a position where they can co-harmonize and cohabitate together peaceably? And if not, what steps need to be taken to get to that place? Do we need to eliminate religion altogether?
Yeah, that's certainly a big question. Where would you like to start? How do you chip away at something like that?
Well, I think the outlier there.
No.
Yeah, Arthur, I think the outlier there is the fact that you mentioned religious extremism. That's a little bit different element than talking about theists and non-theists cohabitating and getting, respecting each other's beliefs and opinions and things like that. I think the extremists kind of doesn't just encompass people who are religious, but, they can come from all walks of life. And so that, I think, is kind of a different topic. The extremists are kind of, if you will, maybe I don't want to say enemy, the adversary to theists and non-theists alike. I mean, they affect us all negatively. And so that I think would take a kind of a different effort than it would for theists and non-theists or atheists to be able to cohabitate and to talk to each other. I think, a lot of it has to do with education systems. I think it has to do with, the level of government and what's it called? Religion being able to influence government, or the separation of church and state, if you will. I don't know that it's an easy fix. It just takes these conversations that we're having to continue. But saying things like we need to eliminate religion, that can be really inflammatory and probably lead in the other direction, not towards progress.
Right.
And
tends to.
It would be, I think, an ugly transition to try and go that way. So while you may have questions... Go ahead.
I only posed the question, do we need to eliminate religion? As some have. They posited the question. See, I am religious myself. I wouldn't like my religious beliefs to be taken. I wouldn't like someone to come in and take my holy books from me and say, no, you can't believe that anymore. Just like I wouldn't say to my atheist friends, I'm sorry, or agnostic friends, I'm sorry, you can't have your belief anymore. You can't have, or your lack of belief anymore. I'm sorry, I'm going to take that. You have to believe my beliefs.
Yeah, no, I hear all of that. And, I think the last thing I want to do is give you the impression that we should all just sort of like give up, or this is as good as it's going to get. I mean, Jimmy and I wouldn't be here doing this. We wouldn't be volunteering and having these conversations if we thought that we should just leave things where they are. But if the question is like, how can we create a society in which religious and non-religious people can coexist in harmony? I'm not going to act as if we currently have harmony. I'm not going to act as if what we're currently living out is the goal. But I will say, I think we can take a moment and find some gratitude for the fact that we can fit almost 8 billion people on this spinning rock and not nuclear holocaust one another. Like, maybe that's a low bar, but I really believe that if we take a moment and recognize what we have done as a species to be able to have such a diversity of thought and to find ways to coexist, yes, we still have a habit of genociding each other. We should still be making some meaningful changes as a species, absolutely. And I don't want to be overly cosmic about it, but the truth is, we're going to be asking this exact same question 50 years from now and 100 years from now and 200 years from now, assuming, we are all existing as a species and something hasn't gotten catastrophically wrong, because even if things continue to, quote, get better, even if religious extremism is causing less of a problem 50 years from now as it is now, there will still be a diversity of thought among humans, and that's going to mean conflict. And we are always going to be trying to take that conflict, that sort of warlike, tribal, violence that we have always experienced as a species, is always going to be here on some level. And I think there's reason to believe that we are trending in the right direction, that we are, as a species, in general, seeing less war death, seeing less, religious persecution and violence and terrorism based on a lot of these ideals. And I think that we can expect things to continue to get better. So in answer to your question, how do we create that society? That's obviously very, very big, but we do a lot of what we've been doing in terms of community organizing, in terms of nonviolent communication and working together as a species. I don't know if that's all like too cosmic and woo-woo and, it'll come someday. How does that strike you?
No, I think that's exactly the trajectory that we're on, and I think that we get there by focusing on the things that are all important to us. And I heard a quote recently that we are probably all more alike than we are different. And I think if people really kind of sink their hooks into that one and realize that we're all just trying to do the best we can with what we have on this little earth that we have to share space on, it becomes a lot easier to get along with your neighbor. And so I try to stick to that philosophy. I am not always, I'm not the person now that I always was. I've changed my mind several times. I've had conversations with people in which I was able to sway my position or my opinion. And I felt like those were meaningful conversations. And that's why I enjoy being here, talking with people like you, Arthur, talking with Christy, and continuing to do the good work, if you will. What do you think, Arthur?
Yeah.
Most importantly, I don't think that you answered your own question.
I think that, I think, as Christy and you both said, it's a hard, it's a big question to answer. And the fact that we are still here trying and we are still here asking the big questions, we haven't left them behind. And there seems to be more and more people jumping on the liberal bandwagon, and there seems to be more and more people saying, "Hey, listen, I need to get over my shit and myself, and maybe start including other people that I thought were so different from me that I would go so far out to say that they were on their way to hell." I think more and more people are jumping on that bandwagon, and I think that's a good thing. And if they want to keep their religious beliefs, well, let them keep it sacred and behind closed doors as I do.
Yeah, I hear that. And, I think to put a little bit of a fine point on it, neither of us are ever advocating for the forceful removal of somebody else's belief system. Even if we somehow could, we would just end up right back in the same place. It's destructive. Right. It's not our right. The ethics of it just don't make sense. We do also have to grapple, though, with the fact that we have a world that is full of religions that we want to be respectful towards, even if we aren't respecting the belief system itself, because those belief systems are full of contradictory and violent ideas. There are plenty of religious belief systems that say it is your duty, it is necessary for you to be violent towards others who don't believe that system. And we do get into that sort of intolerance paradox type territory where we have to be willing to condemn certain actions regardless of what's motivating them. So this is a very like 10,000 foot up kind of view on this conversation. What the actual answer is moving forward is not really for any of us to say, but I would like to come down on the side of things are heading in a good direction, even as I watch what is happening in Florida and in Texas and in sort of like the religious right movement in this country right now. I have reason to believe that we can create a more harmonious society. And Arthur, I appreciate your desire to be working towards that end and for giving us a call today.